Hey there, friends, picture this. You're sitting down for a nice cup of coffee, maybe enjoying a quiet morning, when your grown-up kid strolls in, or maybe they call you up, and suddenly they've got opinions, big ones. They're telling you how to manage your money, where you should live, or why you shouldn't be eating that extra slice of pie. Sound familiar? If you're nodding your head right now, you're not alone. As we hit our 60s and beyond, it's like our kids sometimes forget we've been running the show for decades. They mean well, most of the time, but it can feel like they're trying to take the wheel when we're still perfectly capable of driving ourselves. So what do you do when your kids start acting like they're the parent? Well, I've got some thoughts on that, and I'm excited to share them with you today. See, this isn't about starting a family feud or proving who's boss. It's about holding on to your independence, your dignity, and that spark that makes you, well, you. We've spent years raising them, wiping their noses, and cheering them on. And now it's our turn to enjoy the life we've built. But sometimes our kids get a little too eager to step in, and that's where things can get tricky. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 ways to stand your ground, gently, firmly, and with a smile, because you deserve to keep living life on your terms. Let's dive in and talk about how to handle this with grace, a bit of humor, and a whole lot of confidence. First off, let's start with something simple but powerful. Trust your own judgment. Now, I know that might sound obvious, but hear me out. After 60+ years on this planet, you've got a treasure chest of experience. You've weathered storms, maybe raised a family, held down a job, paid off a mortgage, or figured out how to fix that leaky faucet with nothing but a wrench and a prayer. Your kids might come at you with fancy advice or some article they read online, but you've got something they don't, decades of real-life wisdom. So when they start suggesting things like, maybe they think you should downsize your house because it's too much for you, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you know what works for you. For example, my friend Betty had this exact thing happen. Her son kept pushing her to sell her big old house and move into one of those senior apartments. He'd say, "Mom, it's too much upkeep, and what if you fall?" Betty loved her garden, her porch swing, and the memories in every corner of that place. So instead of just saying no and leaving it there, she sat him down and explained why staying put made her happy. She told him about how tending her roses kept her active and how she'd already hired a handyman for the heavy stuff. She didn't argue, she just showed him she thought it through. And you know what? He backed off. The trick here is to trust that you've still got the smarts to make your own calls. You don't have to justify every choice. But when you do explain, keep it calm and clear. It's like saying, "Thanks for the input, but I've got this." Now, trusting yourself doesn't mean you ignore good advice. Sometimes our kids have a point, but it's about knowing the difference between their concern and their control. If they're worried about you, that's sweet. If they're trying to run your life, that's where you draw the line. And that brings us to something else you can do when they start overstepping. Set boundaries with kindness. Oh, this one's a game changer, and it's easier than you might think. You don't need to turn it into a showdown or pull out the "I'm your mother" card, though let's be honest, that can feel tempting sometimes. Instead, it's about letting them know where you stand without making it a big to-do. Take my neighbor Jim, for instance. His daughter kept calling every day to check in, but it started feeling more like a parole officer than a loving kid. She'd ask what he ate, if he'd taken his pills, and why he was still driving at night. Jim's a spry 68, still plays golf twice a week, and didn't need the constant hovering. So one day he just said, "Honey, I love hearing from you, but I'm doing fine. How about we catch up on Sundays instead?" He didn't snap or get defensive. He just nudged her back a bit. And it worked. She eased up, and they both felt better. The key is to keep it light but firm. You're not shutting them out. You're just reminding them you're still in charge of your own days. Sometimes, though, it's not just about the little check-ins. It's bigger stuff, like money or health decisions. Maybe they're hinting you should hand over the checkbook or see a doctor you don't want to see. That's when setting boundaries gets a little trickier, but it's still doable. You might say something like, "I appreciate you looking out for me, but I'm happy with how I'm handling things right now." It's polite, it's direct, and it leaves no room for debate. And if they push, smile, and change the subject. So, how's that new recipe you were trying? Works like a charm every time. Now that we've covered trusting your judgment and setting those gentle boundaries, let's move into something a little more proactive, something that really puts you back in the driver's seat. Because let's face it, standing your ground isn't just about saying no, it's about showing them you're still living your life, full steam ahead. So stick with me as we roll into the next piece of this puzzle, because it's all about keeping your spark and showing the world and your kids that you're not slowing down anytime soon. All right, friends, let's keep this conversation rolling because we're right in the thick of figuring out how to hold our own when our kids start acting like they're the ones calling the shots. We've already talked about trusting your own judgment and setting those kind boundaries with a smile, and now it's time to take it up a notch. You see, one of the best ways to stand your ground is to keep living your life, really living it, and showing them you've still got plenty of pep in your step. So let's dive into this next idea. Stay active and engaged in what you love. It's not just about keeping busy, it's about reminding everyone, including yourself, that you're still the captain of your ship. Think about it. When your kids see you out there doing your thing, whether it's gardening, hitting the golf course, or even just meeting up with friends for coffee, they're less likely to think you need them swooping in to fix your life. It's like a quiet little message that says, "I'm good, thanks." Take my pal Doris, for example. She's 72, and her daughter kept nagging her to take it easy because she thought Doris was overdoing it. Doris wasn't having it. She'd been taking a painting class at the community center, and she loved it. Smearing colors on a canvas made her feel alive. So instead of slowing down, she invited her daughter to come see her latest masterpiece at the class exhibit. That shut down the "you're too old for this" talk real quick. Doris didn't argue, she just showed her daughter she was thriving, and that was that. The beauty of this is it's not about proving anything to anyone, it's about enjoying yourself. Maybe you've got a hobby you've always loved, like fishing or knitting, or maybe there's something new you've been itching to try, like a dance class or learning to play cards. Whatever it is, lean into it. It keeps you sharp, it keeps you happy, and it sends a signal loud and clear. You're not sitting around waiting for someone to take over. And if your kids bring up the "maybe you should rest more" line, you can just grin and say, "Rest? I'll rest when I'm done having fun." They'll get the hint and you'll feel like $1,000,000. Now, staying active doesn't mean you've got to run a marathon, unless that's your thing, in which case, go for it. It's about doing what feels right for you. Even something as simple as a daily walk around the block or tending to a few plants on your windowsill can do wonders. My Uncle Ray, bless him, started a little vegetable patch in his backyard at 67, and you'd think he'd discovered gold. His son kept worrying about him overexerting himself, but Ray just handed him a fresh tomato one day and said, "Taste that and tell me I should stop." That tomato was the end of the argument. It's funny how a little proof of life can quiet the doubters, isn't it? But sometimes it's not just about staying busy, it's about keeping your mind in the game too. And that's where our next idea comes in. Communicate your plans and decisions with confidence. This one's all about letting your kids know you're not just drifting along. You've got a roadmap and you're following it. Say your daughter's pushing you to move closer to her because she thinks you're too far away in case something happens. Instead of brushing her off or getting flustered, you can sit her down and say, "I've thought about this and I like where I am. I've got my doctor nearby, my friends down the street, and I'm set up just how I want it." It's not defensive, it's steady. You're showing her you've got it under control. I saw this work wonders with my cousin Margaret. Her son was dead set on her getting one of those emergency alert buttons. You know, the "I've fallen and I can't get up" ones. Margaret wasn't against the idea, but she didn't like being told she had to have it. So she did her homework, figured out what she wanted, and told him, "I've already looked into it, and I'm getting a new phone with a safety app instead. It's cheaper, and I can still call you if I need to." He couldn't argue with that. She'd taken the reins, and he had to respect it. When you lay out your choices like that, calm and collected, it's like putting up a little sign that says, "I'm still running my show." The trick here is to keep it casual but firm. You don't need to over-explain or get into a debate. Just share enough to let them see you're on top of things. Maybe you've got your finances sorted with a plan that works for you, or maybe you've already decided who's helping with the yard work this summer. Whatever it is, when they hear you've got a handle on it, they're less likely to step in with their own version. And if they still push, you can always toss in a little humor to lighten it up. What, you think I forgot how to balance a checkbook after 40 years? I taught you how to count, kiddo. That usually gets a laugh and a step back. So we've talked about staying active and speaking up with confidence. And it's all building toward that final piece of standing your ground. Something that ties it all together and really seals the deal. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about holding off their takeover attempts. It's about keeping your spirit strong and your life yours. Let's ease into that next bit, because it's a good one, and I think you're going to love how it brings everything full circle. Okay, friends, we're rounding the bend now. And I'm so glad you're here with me as we wrap up this conversation about standing your ground when your kids start acting like they're ready to take over. We've talked about trusting your own wisdom, setting kind but firm boundaries, staying active in what you love, and communicating your plans with confidence. Each of those steps is like a little brick in the wall you're building, not to keep your kids out, but to remind them you're still the one steering the ship. Now let's bring it home with the final piece of this puzzle. Embrace your role as the anchor of your own life. This one's about owning your space, your choices, and your story with a quiet strength that leaves no room for doubt, yours or theirs. Being the anchor doesn't mean you've got to be stubborn or dig in your heels over every little thing. It's more about carrying yourself in a way that says, I've lived, I've learned, and I'm still here making it work. It's that calm assurance that comes from knowing you're not just reacting to what your kids throw at you. You're living intentionally, on your terms. And let me tell you, when you lean into that, it's like a weight lifts off your shoulders. You stop feeling like you have to explain yourself at every turn, and your kids start to see you not just as mom or dad, but as a person who's still got plenty of life to live. Take my friend Clara, for instance. She's 74, sharp as a tack, and her son kept dropping hints that she should simplify her life. Code for, maybe you shouldn't be doing so much. Clara wasn't buying it. She started volunteering at the local library, reading stories to kids, and it lit her up like nothing else. Instead of letting her son's comments make her second-guess herself, she invited him to come see her in action one day. There she was, surrounded by little ones giggling at her silly voices, and you could see the pride in his eyes. She didn't have to say, "Back off, I've got this." Her joy said it for her. That's what being the anchor looks like. You keep doing you, and the rest falls into place. Now, part of anchoring yourself is recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone. Sometimes our kids get pushy because they're worried, and that worry comes from love, even if it's wrapped in a way that drives you up the wall. So when you show them you've got a support system, friends, neighbors, maybe even a professional like a financial advisor or a doctor you trust, it eases their minds without handing them the reins. For example, if they're fretting about your health, you might mention, "Oh, I had a great checkup last week, and Dr. Thompson says I'm doing fine." Or if they're on you about the house, you could say, "I've got a guy coming by to handle the gutters next month." It's a gentle way of saying, "I'm covered, so you don't need to step in." This approach worked like magic for my buddy George. His daughter was all over him about his cluttered garage, insisting he needed to hire someone to clean it out before he got hurt. George didn't fight her on it. He just said, "You know, I've been meaning to tackle that, and my neighbor Tom's coming over this weekend to give me a hand." That was it. No argument, no fuss. He showed her he had a plan and people in his corner, and she let it go. Being the anchor means you've got your bases covered, and you let them see it without making a big production out of it. Now, as we bring this all together, I want you to think about what these 5 ideas, trusting your judgment, setting boundaries, staying active, communicating confidently, and anchoring yourself, really add up to. It's not about pushing your kids away or proving you're right. It's about holding on to the life you've built, the person you are, and the freedom to keep writing your own story. You've spent years guiding your kids, and now it's okay to say, "I love you, but I'm still calling my own shots." And you know what? Most of the time, they'll respect that. They might need a nudge or two, but deep down, they want you to be happy, not just safe. So here's my challenge to you. Try one of these steps this week. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been eyeing, or maybe it's having a calm sit down with your son or daughter to clear the air. Whatever it is, take that small step and see how it feels. I bet you'll find it's like stretching your legs after a long sit. Pretty darn good. And I'd love to hear how it goes for you. Drop a comment below and share your story. What's worked for you when your kids start getting a little too bossy? Your experience might just inspire someone else watching this. If you found this helpful, give the video a thumbs up. It helps others find it too. And if you want more tips like these, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a thing. We're all in this together, figuring out how to live our best lives no matter what age we are. So here's to you. Keep shining, keep standing tall, and keep being the incredible person you've always been. I'll see you in the next one.